You mentioned about the you had a great friend network around you, but you also talk about slight geographic isolation, I assume, from patients suffering with a similar condition. We live in like a really, really social world. So did you go online and have a look for different communities and try and connect up with patients that might be going through a similar thing to yourself?
Not really with the dialysis. Later on when I talk about the transplant, I used to try and find out more information about the whole procedure with having a pancreas kidney transplant. And a lot of the sites were, because it's a rare procedure, there's not many people in the UK that have really posted much information about their experience. So a lot of the sites were American, and I'm always very skeptical to use American sites and information because I don't really trust the source of it. So yeah, I think I did look on the internet, but there just weren't the resources. And because, like you say, I live logistically far from major cities where these things are more common, my local GP had never met anyone having a kidney pancreas transplant, so his knowledge was very limited. So yeah, I think it didn't really do me any favours that I wasn't surrounded by people with the expertise that I needed to go through that process.
Just a couple of questions on what you've been talking about. The first is that in the pharmaceutical industry, particularly around marketing, there is a scepticism about the websites that we produce and whether, because they're sponsored by pharmaceutical companies, they're probably just discounted by, you know, the browsing public. In your opinion, you know, can you see a value in those sites?
Yeah, I think that if it was a brand that I recognised, I would trust a site like that for sure.
And then also, because you talk about being, you know, isolated slightly from a geography point of view. Again, there's a concern in the pharma industry about social media, and they're always very wary about getting involved because of some of the legal ramifications. It sounds like if they did invest and if they did support a community to bring patients together, again, that would be useful for you.
Yeah, I think if it was well regulated and there was a community online that people could trust in terms of a website, I think then, yeah, that would be really beneficial, because not everybody can go to face-to-face peer support groups. And if you are in a geographical area that's isolated, then online is perfect for that sort of thing. And it's also a good way to get quick answers as well. And yeah, I think there'd be a lot of value in having an online community support.
So there's plenty more work for us to do.
Yeah, definitely.
And talk to me a bit about what you're doing at the moment, because you're trying to help other people, aren't you?
Yeah, so I've really realised like the vital importance of people being able to share experiences. I'm affiliated with a charity called AIM, which is Amputation, Inspiration, Motivation. And I've met a few other amputees, and it's just been amazing to share stories about how to adapt to life, and also to realise that, you know, there's people out there that probably are worse off than me, but are accomplishing so much in life, and that's really motivating and inspiring. So I often felt quite alone, not knowing any fellow amputees, and now having realised that those sort of experiences, sharing with others, can have a big impact on how you see your condition. I decided that it'd be a good idea to set something up myself at the Limb Centre at Preston, where I go for my rehab.
It's really interesting because as an industry you talk about saturation of information, everything's already available on the internet, but it sounds from your endeavours actually you think there's a real gap in terms of experiences and positivity talking around what you've been through. Yeah,
definitely. And I still actually don't know any patients that have had a pancreas kidney transplant. But the surgeon that I really respect at Manchester is in the process of trying to make that change at Manchester. So he would like to set up a patient association whereby pre-transplant patients get to meet each other and post-transplant. And I think he really recognises the importance of that. And he's the kind of person that won't let obstacles stand in his way in terms of resources and time and money. And he will try and make a difference. And I think it will be a huge benefit for patients.
It's amazing the way you talk about it and the positivity that you had so quickly after the operation. And again, I'm assuming that it would have been great to have heard some of those positive stories in the build-up to it, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember being in hospital and I was on dialysis at the time, and I went down to have a dialysis session, and there was a guy there in a wheelchair, and he'd had an amputation, and it was just by chance that he was there in the waiting room at the same time as me, and I'd never had the opportunity to speak to an amputee before. And, you know, I said, "Oh, I hope you don't mind, but can I ask you a couple of questions about your amputation?" And I just wanted to know simple things like, once you'd had the amputation, how long did your stump take to heal? How long was it before you started to walk again after that? And he was able to give me a few answers. And I just thought, well, at least I know now, and it's reassuring. And he was telling me that he'd been on a 2-mile walk the day before. And I just thought, well, this is a positive experience to having spoken to him. So, yeah, I think if that had been available to me and that exposure to people going through a similar thing, then it would have been really helpful.
I can imagine. And as bad as that sounds, it's good that there's opportunities to improve these things and improve it for other patients going through what you're going through. And in that vein, you know, if there's one thing that you could have changed throughout the whole process, what would it have been?
I think it would be this idea of being able to share experiences with other people that have been through similar procedures, and just gain that insight as to how they coped with that situation and how life is like for them now, and to surround yourself with people that are motivated and inspiring you to keep fighting.
Perfect. Well, you're amazing. Thank you.